Hi everyone, my name is Derek.
And I'm Paula.
We're making this video because a lot of our friends and family think our current living situation is a little strange. You see, we live in Ontario, Canada, where it's currently a pretty cold winter, and instead of a house or an apartment, we live in, well, I'll show you. We live in a camper van. So I think one of the reasons why people find it a little strange that we live in a camper van is because whenever we say van, they think van, like a cargo van. But we wanted to make this video to show you that there's a lot more to our van than just that. So maybe we'll give you a quick tour, but we'll start off by showing you the van portion. So as you can see, the inside of the cab looks like the cab of any other van of its age.
Except it's not just the cab of a van, it's also our living room.
Which means we need to make a few minor adjustments to add some comfort. First of all, these captain's chairs spin around and become reclining chairs for our living room.
We also have privacy curtains that when we get parked for the evening, we just unsnap and unroll.
All right, well, I'll let you finish that and I'll do a quick tour of the outside.
Okay.
I won't bother going into too much detail right now because we'll probably cover a lot of this in a future video. But as you can see, we've got a bunch of hookups on the side of the van for propane and fresh water. Up top, we've got solar panels that run most of our electrical, as well as a full-size air conditioner, which in the summer comes in pretty handy. But right now, we've got it wrapped up to keep it sealed for the winter. Spare tire. And on this side, we've got a 10-foot awning for whenever we're in a campground and want to relax for a few days. But for right now, it is freezing out here, so I'm gonna go in. All right, a lot better in here. Wow. Okay. So, as you can see, up here we've got a couple of handy hooks where we can hang our coats and even our ukulele. And when you live in a van, you have to get creative and use every little bit of spare space you can. So on this little ledge up here, we've even got some Kleenex, some paper towel, and even an umbrella. Safety is always important, so we've got a smoke detector up here, and down there we've got a fire extinguisher. And we've even got a little rack to hang our shoes and our boots whenever it's wet outside.
Welcome to our living room. As we said, it's much cozier here now that the curtains are dropped and the chairs are turned around. We spend a lot of our time, a lot of our evenings here.
And here's our kitchen. We've got a 2-burner stove that runs on propane. Up top, we've got a fan, just like any other kitchen, to suck out the steam and whatnot. Over here, we've got a sink, but because we're winterized at the moment, we're not able to drain anything, so we use a Tupperware container instead. We'll probably talk about that a lot more later. Here, this is normally a window, but it's all insulated at the moment as well, and because we like to be a little romantic, we've got a nice little candle going. Down here, we have a lot of storage space for a bunch of extra food and also some extra counter space whenever we need it. When we don't need it, we can lock it in and hide it away. Silverware drawer, junk drawer, and a bunch of other storage for pots and pans and other food items. Down here we've got our furnace that has kept us alive all winter. And here's our fridge. This fridge is what's called a 3-way fridge, so it runs on 12-volt electricity, which comes from our battery. It also runs on 110, which comes from whenever we're plugged in at a campground, and also propane, which is super handy whenever we don't want to waste our battery and can't plug in anywhere. It's kind of small, but it holds everything that we need it to. Up top, this used to be where our microwave went, but we found that we didn't really use the microwave all that much. So we took the microwave out, built a little shelf, and now this is our pantry. Up top, we've got the charge controller for our solar panels. This is what basically makes everything happen. All the lights that are currently running in here, the fan that comes from our furnace, all of that runs on the electricity from the solar panels, and this is the guy that makes that happen. Over here we've got a gauge that tells us what our levels are at. So this level is our battery. So as you can see, we currently have 3/4 power left on our batteries, and over here are holding tanks for water. So we've got fresh water. That's the water that normally in the spring, summer, and fall would be coming out of our sink and also flushing our toilet. Our holding tank, this is the actual black water from our toilet, and gray, which is where whenever we do drain the sink, where it all gets stored as well. All of that is stored in tanks underneath the van. In the back here, if I turn on a light, you can see our bedroom. It's our bedroom, but it's also our dining room. Here's the bed, obviously. We've got a lot of storage up here for clothes, his and hers. But because hers requires a little extra, we also put in a new shelf that stores a bunch of Paula's clothes for work and whatnot. Down here, we've got some dinette seats. This is basically what makes our dining room. You notice down here we've got this little pipe. The reason we have that is because our table leg actually fits into it like this. Once the table leg's in, it can spin around, and this guy screws onto it like so. And once he's screwed on, now our table can rotate while we eat dinner. And if we forgot something, we can move it over here and go to the fridge or the kitchen, whichever we need, and then put it back whenever we sit back down. At night, if we want to watch a movie, we can actually rotate this around the back and put our laptop on it while we're lying in bed. Underneath the bed, we've got a drawer for storage space. Get more light there. We've got a drawer for some storage space, and also about 4 foot by 4 foot storage underneath the bed here. It also lifts up. Up top, we've got an air conditioner, which we haven't used in a while, but whenever it's really hot outside, which hopefully it will be soon, we can use that as well. And it's a full-size air conditioner, and it makes it really nice and cool in here.
So as Derek mentioned earlier, that we have a toilet, and so let me show you where that is. It is actually in here. Believe it or not, when the door opens, you can't close the door when you're in here, but this is our washroom, so there's a privacy wall here. You can even make it more private by opening this door, which is the door to our closet, and also our liquor cabinet.
So that pretty much concludes the tour. It doesn't take too long when your house is this small. Maybe now we can have a seat in our living room and we'll tell you a little bit about why we decided to live like this. All right, so why do we live in a van?
Oh, it's a long story.
It sure is, but we'll try and keep it really short for this video. Essentially, last summer we got married, and for our honeymoon, we wanted to take a nice long trip across Canada. We decided that before we saw the rest of the world, we wanted to see our own country first. But the trip was, obviously, a long trip like that was a little bit expensive. And so we figured that the cheapest way to do it would be to buy a camper van and go on a road trip. And since we were going to be gone for a couple months, we decided to get rid of our apartment as well and just find a new one whenever we got back.
So we put all our stuff in storage in order to be able to make this happen.
And then we moved into the van and did our trip, and it was amazing. We went from Ontario all the way to BC, to the west coast, up into the Arctic, to the north coast, and then back to the east coast to Halifax.
Absolutely would highly recommend it. And along the way, he swam in every ocean along the way.
3 oceans, one trip.
3 oceans, one trip. Not me. Way too cold for me, but I dipped my toes in. I absolutely made sure I walked in, but I would not swim.
And so whenever we got back, we kind of decided that we had so much fun staying in the van for that amount of time that we would just keep it up a little bit longer. not only was it really fun, but it was also really economical. We're completely off the grid in the van, so we don't have rent, we don't have utilities to pay for. Essentially, the only thing that we have to pay for is the gas to get us around, which we would need anyway in any other vehicle, and the propane that runs our stove and our fridge and our furnace for the winter. And even that's really not that expensive.
Not that bad. Not that bad at all.
Yeah, and so we've just kind of decided to keep doing it as long as we can, because as much as we love being in a van, we don't necessarily want to do it forever.
No.
And so eventually we're going to want to be able to buy our own house, and in order to afford that, being able to save a lot of money right now is going to make that happen a lot quicker and a lot easier.
Yeah.
So
there's lots more stories that I know we're going to want to share with you along the way on how we do what we do, and even probably more why we do what we do.
Yeah, there's probably a lot more we could say about that as well.
Yeah.
And we've learned a lot of things along the way that hopefully you'll find interesting. So stay tuned. We'll post some new videos soon, hopefully, that tell you a little bit more detail about a lot of the things that we covered quickly in this video.